I have no idea how to save it alone, but you know how to save him.
Hi there, welcome to my YouTube channel, all about the lore. Today in this video I'm going to be doing a review of Deadpool and Wolverine. If that's something that sounds interesting to you, follow along. Just kind of starting off and everything. With the movie and all, obviously there's some cool popcorn buckets, so starting off, have the Deadpool skull, and then, you know, the pretty famous Wolverine mask. And just kind of starting off, this will be a spoiler review, so I'll put the time where the spoilers do start, but just starting out, it's just going to be a normal review. And if you kind of like these videos from a small person that probably just has the same interests like you, give me a follow, just giving the honest review. So just kind of starting out, you know, with the movie and everything, I feel like my favorite thing out of everything would be the fight scenes. I think they were choreographed perfectly. Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman did perfect. So I feel like that's the number one thing. I think kind of piggying back off of the fight scenes, everything, I feel like the fight scenes just from the beginning kind of, I don't know, they felt like more like art to me. Especially the one where in the beginning, I won't talk about it right now, but in the beginning, the fight scene, dance to it and everything, it was perfect. And then whenever they got into the void, spoiler alert, I feel like everybody knows that, that fight scene was so good. So yeah, I mean, if you like fights, go watch this movie. And then secondly, if you're a Marvel fan, I really feel like this is kind of just a love letter to all Marvel fans, you know, people that grew up loving these characters, especially Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. It's always been my favorite, so it was pretty cool to kind of see him, you know, step back into the mantle, especially after Logan, after he died and everything. You know, I feel like they handled that really well. And then the next thing, which I feel like they really did well, especially in this movie. I know with like Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, to me they were just more like a joke movie. It was more like making fun of just stupid stuff. But with this one, it feels like there's definitely there's serious times to it, which I really like. Later on, when I give the spoilers and everything, you know, with Wolverine's past and everything, I think they handled that excellently. It's just, it got serious when it needed to, and it can be funny when it also needs to as well. And I think it's like a perfect mixture. But next thing as well, I know everybody already knew there's going to be crazy cameos in this, and that's another big thing, is that's like one thing that really I did not like was, in a lot of the trailers, they already showed some really big cameos, which, in my opinion, is just, I think it would have made the movie feel a little bit different in like a certain spots if they would have kind of just kept the cameos more of a secret. And then spoiler alert, so if you don't want to be spoiled, just while we're on this topic, I'll let you know when to come back in. But spoiler alert, 1, 2, 3. In the trailers, they show like X-23. You could see Elektra's arm, Juggernaut, all that kind of stuff. Juggernaut to me and Elektra weren't very big things. They were just, oh, that's pretty cool, they're there. But I feel like X-23, that was it really, I think it would have been a very good moment for Logan, and I think it would have been way more special and emotional if they kind of would have held out on showing that, and if they would have kind of just waited, I think the audience would have liked it way more. Sorry, there was a thing right there, but yeah, I think they definitely should have waited. But the cameos itself, I mean, they were excellent. They were awesome. But yeah, so you can come back now. if you were watching this and you didn't want cameos. So, and then the next thing would be one of my favorite things would be Wolverine. I think they just nailed it on the coffin with that. I know me personally, I was very excited whenever they announced that Hugh Jackman was coming back as Wolverine. That was probably one of the coolest things for me. Ever since I was little, watching all the X-Men movies, Wolverine has always been my favorite. Had his claws when I was little. He just always was probably like the coolest superhero to me, in my opinion. So it was really cool seeing him. I had to get the popcorn bucket, put my hand in his mouth, all that fun stuff. But yeah, Wolverine in this movie. If you didn't like Wolverine before this, I really think you will. Seeing that comic accurate suit and then seeing that mask, that was probably the biggest love thing to the fans was, seeing him in his comic accurate suit, just because 20 plus years he didn't wear a comic accurate suit one time. So it was really a really cool moment for all of us fans to see that. Alrighty, and now for the con. And there's just some stuff that I think could have been handled differently. And obviously, don't hate me, Marvel. I love Marvel. I'd love to have a chance to, in the future, long future, doing something with them. But I feel like my biggest complaint with this movie would actually be the villain. Cassandra Nova, if you don't know, that's Professor X's twin. They were in the womb. He kind of, just beat her. So he never knew about her. But to me, she was pretty just 2D. Really had no kind of emotional attachment to it. I would say, for me, a big one would be Loki. Obviously, he's a villain, but at the same time, he's more of a villain that you could kind of get behind and understand. You're like, oh my god, this guy's actually pretty cool. Even though he's a bad guy, he's still pretty awesome. But with her, I was just like, oh, okay, she's there. She's super strong, but at the same time, what's that going to do? If nobody likes you, there ain't really anything. And I think they could have, maybe if they put more of a backstory, maybe a flashback to showing her getting, in the TVA and then pruning her, putting her to the void. And maybe how she feel about Charles, all that kind of stuff. I just feel like they definitely could have handled that a little bit differently, where they could have made us kind of care about her more. Like with Loki, with Thanos, they really went back and showed us kind of who they are, why they're doing this, and then with her, it feels like she just wants to rule and be ruthless. And it was cool. She's strong. Cool seeing her fight, but at the same time, that's another thing. She really didn't even fight that much. Spoiler alert: whenever Deadpool and Wolverine got there, Wolverine tried to attack her. He put him through the ground where his claws were just up. That was really cool. But at the same time, that was kind of like the only thing fight-wise she really ever did. I feel like she's only had 3 minutes to fight in the whole movie, and as a main character should be a little bit more, but I think they definitely could have handled that a little bit different. And another con for me was the Deadpool corpse, core. It was awesome seeing all the variants, Lady Deadpool, Kidpool, all of them, the floating head. But at the same time, for me, with that is, I wish we would have got to see a little bit more of them. I know Lady Pool, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds' wife, in the credits, she's credited as playing Lady Pool. It would have been just cool seeing her face, or seeing more of the other Deadpool's faces. So I feel like, maybe if they would have spent a little bit more time with that, and then I feel like it was just a really big waste, in my opinion. That was what I was really cool about seeing how, Deadpool interacted with all the other Deadpools. But yeah, that's kind of how I feel about the whole Deadpool situation with the Deadpool core and everything. Now, another thing about that too, though, which is something I did like, was that fight. That kind of last fight, but with Deadpool and Wolverine versus the Deadpool core. I mean, it was amazing, especially seeing Wolverine pull his mask on. It was literally chills, and it was just so good. And so it's a plus and con, because obviously it's a 2-hour something movie. They can't spend all this time, but just something I would have liked. But at the same time, they were so cool seeing all the Deadpools there. I hope they kind of touch more on that in the future, just because I think it is really cool. Alrighty, and spoiler review now. So if you haven't watched this movie, stop and go watch this movie as soon as possible, just because it is so good. But okay, spoiler review. Starting off with the movie, I'm just gonna kind of go through the movie. Told you the stuff that I liked, maybe some stuff that I didn't like. Starting off with the movie, where Deadpool's singing "Bye Bye Bye" as he's using Wolverine's adamantium bones. That to me just it was so good to me. It made me so just excited to see this movie even more, because I thought it was so funny, and the fact that he was using adamantium bones from Logan, that was just so awesome to me. After that, obviously he got asked to go to the TVA, and then he has to go find another Wolverine, and that's where it really picks up for me. So some of the spoilers, I'll just say a couple of them, just because I want you guys to go watch this movie. Probably my favorite part was seeing, him, and then seeing the Hulk. I mean, that was so awesome. That's probably one of my favorite just beginning comics origins. Whenever that's how Wolverine got into comics, was fighting the Hulk, and seeing that in a film was so awesome. And then the star of the show, seeing Henry Cavill as Logan. Gosh, if Hugh Jackman just gets too old and he seriously doesn't want to play Wolverine anymore, I think everybody would be happy if it was Henry Cavill. It looks so good, and I mean, I expected that. I did not expect that at all, to see Henry Cavill in this movie. That part for me was just so awesome. And then I really like how they kind of just built up the suspense of what that Wolverine, what he did in his timeline, why nobody likes him. Everybody's just disrespecting him because, nobody's going to talk to Wolverine like that. So I was like, oh, he must have did something really bad. But then after that, they went back to the TVA, went to the Void. And then, you see that figure up on that billboard kind of thing jump down, and you see it's Chris Evans. I was like, oh. I mean, is this like a variant of Captain America? And then I was like, oh my God, it's the Human Torch. And then he said fire on. That really set the tone for this movie. I didn't expect that at all, and I think it just executed it perfectly. And then that Wolverine versus Sabretooth, that was awesome. But then kind of fast forwarding, how Johnny dies and all that kind of stuff. We go to that van scene. That van scene, how they fought all day, and they didn't stop. I mean, I could watch that all day. But they both get tired, and then where the movie just becomes mind blowing. Obviously, everybody knew about X-23, and I knew about Elektra. But then seeing Blade and Gambit, Channing Tatum's Gambit, I didn't expect that at all. I know they're working on a new Blade movie, So I knew that Blade, was going to be in the MCU. It's an R-rated movie. So I already kind of had an expectation of seeing Blade in the future, but not in this movie. So it's still awesome. But seeing Channing Tatum as a Gambit, especially in his comic accurate suit, it was so nice. How they made fun of how he talked and everything, it was so funny, and definitely an amazing part of this film. And then the next part, how they have the fight at Cassandra's base. The only kind of con for me would be that the fight scene, I feel like they didn't focus enough on the characters, and you didn't really get to see them fight and use their powers as much as I wanted to. Like, I love the fight and what we saw of the fight, but I wanted to see more, because it was just alrighty. And just to end things off, in my opinion, Deadpool and Wolverine, I would rate it, I'd say 9.7 out of 10. I love the movie. I'm going to watch it again and again, and I do plan on doing a review, breakdown, Easter eggs of the movie. So that'll be probably, later in the week. But just kind of upcoming on my channel, just so you guys know. So my channel name's All About the Lore, so I'll kind of be going all things Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Disney, all that kind of stuff. I have a passion for that stuff. I really love it. So that's kind of what the future is going to be, unholding. I do have a Twister review in the making right now that should be coming out pretty soon. But this Deadpool review should come out before. But yeah, if you think you'll like these kind of videos, if you want, give me a follow. And if you want to just come on the ride, see my success with this, seeing my passion. I really like film. I'm trying to get more into it. Maybe be in a movie or something one day. That'd be super awesome. But yeah, I am going to Disney August 4th to the 10th. So I'm going to be recording a lot of that. So expect that coming soon. So this is my first YouTube video. And if you watch all the way, thank you. I know it's probably not very good right now, but if you just stick with me a little bit, it'll get better over time. But yeah, alrighty guys, thank you so much.